Every morning somewhere in America, a mother pours a bowl of cereal for her kid. The box is bright, the mascot is grinning, and the label promises a good source of vitamins. For decades that was enough, and nobody dug any deeper. The cereal just showed up on the table the way it always had. Then something changed. 60,000 mothers are now taking Kellogg's to court, and once you see what they found inside those boxes, the number starts to make sense. Kellogg's is a giant. Will Keith Kellogg founded it in 1906 in Battle Creek, Michigan, and built the whole company around a single claim. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. They repeated that line into every household in America for over a century, and it worked. Today, the company sells in more than 180 countries and pulls in close to $15 billion a year. Tony the Tiger, Toucan Sam, and the Rice Krispies trio are more than mascots. They were engineered to reach children above everyone else. That was always the plan. Win the kids, and you win the household. Put the box at a child's eye level on the shelf, make the mascot lovable and the colors loud, and buy the ad slots during Saturday morning cartoons. For 70 years, it ran without a serious question from regulators or parents, even though the obvious one was sitting right there. What is actually inside the box? Here is what the mothers found. Take a standard box of Fruit Loops, one of Kellogg's most popular kids' cereals. A single serving has more sugar than a glazed donut, more than a scoop of ice cream. The first ingredient isn't fruit. There is no fruit. It's sugar, followed by modified cornstarch, followed by a list of artificial dyes long enough to read like a chemistry exam. Those dyes, red 40 and yellow 6 and blue 1, started out derived from coal tar and are now made from petroleum. Several studies have linked them to hyperactivity in children, especially kids with attention disorders. The United Kingdom pulled some of them from foods aimed at children, and the European Union makes companies print a warning label on products that contain them. In America, Fruit Loops still pours into kids' bowls every morning, sold as part of a balanced breakfast. That phrase does a lot of quiet work. Look at any Kellogg's ad from the 1980s or the 1990s, and you'll see the bowl of cereal surrounded by orange juice, toast, eggs, milk, and fruit. Technically, the cereal is one item on the table, but the ad puts it at the center as the thing the child reaches for, and the spread around it lets the parent feel like they're doing right by their kid. What Kellogg's really sold was that feeling, not the nutrition behind it. The mothers who started organizing around 2022 weren't angry at first. Mostly they were confused. Their kids were bouncing off the walls in ways they couldn't explain, or struggling to focus at school, or putting on weight fast. Pediatricians ran tests, therapists got involved, medication came up. Then, one by one, these women did something the food industry never planned for. They read the ingredient labels. Jennifer Calloway, a mother of 3 in Ohio, talks about the day she finally Googled what Red 40 was. She'd fed her son the same cereal every morning for 4 years. He'd been diagnosed with attention problems at 6, and she'd figured it was genetic, just how he was built. Then she read the research, then the label. Then she sat down at the kitchen table and cried. She wasn't the only one. She found forums and Facebook groups full of women with the same story, the same timeline, the same box on the shelf. The shared frustration turned into shared record keeping, screenshots of labels, links to studies, photos of old ads. These women had built a case before a single lawyer showed up. A class action was filed by early 2023, and by the middle of 2024, it had 60,000 plaintiffs. Kellogg's defense has stayed the same and stayed smooth. Their cereals meet every FDA requirement, their products are safe, their labels are accurate. The company points to its own promises to cut sugar in children's cereals and to stop advertising directly to kids under 6, and calls those changes a sign of good faith. The mothers read that timeline differently. Kellogg started quietly cutting sugar and softening its marketing only after the lawsuits picked up press coverage. Not while the research was coming out, and not while European regulators were raising flags, but after. To 60,000 women who spent years trusting the company, that order of events doesn't look like a coincidence. The trust is what gives this whole thing its edge. Kellogg's never had to sell to adults who could weigh the claims for themselves. It sold to parents who were busy and tired and trained by decades of advertising to see a friendly tiger and relax. And it sold to kids who wanted the prize at the bottom of the box. The business was built to reach the people who could push back the least. This isn't the first time the food business has hit a moment like this. Tobacco companies swore for years that cigarettes were fine. Fast food chains argued their meals fit a balanced diet. Soda companies paid for studies that muddied the link between their drinks and obesity. In each case, the turning point came from ordinary people who wouldn't take the official answer, not from regulators or scientists. What's different now is the organizing. Social media handed these mothers something earlier generations never had, which was each other. A mom in Michigan could compare notes in real time with a mom in Texas and a mom in Oregon. 60,000 worried parents turned out to be very good at spotting patterns that one frustrated parent, alone at a kitchen table with one label, would never catch. The industry watched with real worry because if Kellogg's loses, the ruling won't stop in Battle Creek. It reaches every company that ever put a cartoon on a box built for a kid. Kellogg's isn't going anywhere. It has the lawyers, the money, and a century of brand loyalty, and it can argue process and compliance for as long as it takes. But something has already moved, and it isn't moving back. The parents who grew up on Tony the Tiger look at him differently now. They read the back of the box before the front. They ask what the dyes are for, who signed off on them, and why Europe plays by other rules. For the first time in the long history of breakfast cereal, they want an answer to a plain question. If it's so good for our kids, why were we the ones who had to find out what's in it? 60,000 women asked that, and this time they aren't dropping it until someone answers. And Kellogg's isn't the only one. Click the next video to find out why 40,000 seniors are suing Nestle.